for the glory of old state, for her founder strong and great, for the future that we wait. Raise the song, raise the song.
Where else would you rather be? I'm Paul Clifford, CEO of the Penn State Alumni Association. Welcome to the People of Penn State podcast. Each week on the podcast, you can expect to hear the voices of Penn Staters talking about what they're passionate about, and you can expect to feel the pride and the power of the Penn State network. You can find the People of Penn State on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, or your podcast app of choice. Subscribe and give us a rating. Ratings and reviews help other Penn Staters find these great stories. Today, I'm joined by Marnie Schneider. Marnie is a CEO. She's an inspirational speaker. She's an author, a philanthropist. She's a Philadelphia native and consistently devotes her time to helping others achieve their own victory. Marnie finds inspiration from her family, starting with her grandfather, Leonard Tose, who was the owner of the Philadelphia Eagles and founded the Ronald McDonald House. Marnie's mother, Susan Tose Spencer, is an icon in women's history and women's history in the NFL. She was the first female GM of a National Football League team. Marnie's also the mother of 3 kids, Jonathan, Goldie, and Leo. Her passion for sports shines through in her 8-book series, Gameday In The USA, that follows a young girl, Freddie, and her dog, Fumble, in each city that they visit. Marnie's a 1990 graduate of the Belisario College of Communications with a degree in broadcast journalism, and we are excited to welcome her to the People of Penn State podcast. Marnie, welcome. How are you?
Oh, great. Thank you, Paul. What a nice introduction. I love it. Thank you.
Absolutely. So I'm really excited to dive into your story. But first, let's start with how you became a Penn State Nindy Lion.
Well, I grew up in Philadelphia and I love football. And truthfully, the only school that I really ever wanted to go to, although my grandfather was a Notre Dame graduate, so I think it kind of bummed him out a tiny little bit. And I said, I really want to go to Penn State. And he was like, well, I love Coach Paterno and I could probably get behind that. And so I was so excited. I was accepted into Penn State. I started in the summer program, which was a great way to start because all the freshmen kind of came into school in the middle of the summer. We had a chance to see the campus and to get together and then, did that and then start again in the fall. And I loved it. And I still all my best friends are still my Penn State friends, graduates, roommates, whatever from my time there. I'm so lucky.
It's interesting given your grandfather's business as the owner of the Eagles for a while there. I wonder if he and Joe ever interacted, if he ever tried to recruit Joe to become the head coach of the Philadelphia Eagles.
Well, very interesting. Would you like to know about that, Paul?
I'd love to know about that story.
Yes, actually, my grandfather did try to recruit Coach Paterno a bunch of times. And every time Coach Paterno, my grandfather would say, all right, Coach, give me your list of like what you need to come coach the Philadelphia Eagles. And Coach Paterno would put together a list of all the things he wanted, not personal items, but things that would be helpful for the players, like a training facility and this and that and whatever else that athletes would need and coaches would need to really create a winning environment. And so my grandfather would look at the list and he would say, oh, wow, that's, oh. And then he would say, sure, you got it, Coach. And then Coach would say, oh, no, Leonard, I really can't leave State College. So he ended up staying in State College. And my grandfather really tried many times to get Coach Paterno to leave Happy Valley and come to the Philadelphia Eagles, but it never worked out.
Well, look, as a lifelong Eagles fan, I'm going to try to keep this podcast about Penn State, but I'm sure we're going to cross over a couple times. But let's focus on Penn State for a second. Thinking back to your time here as a student, what are some of the things that you were involved in and some of your strongest memories?
Well, I was in a sorority at Penn State. I was a Tri Delta, And that was a really fun experience for me. Like I said, though I would say this, that so many of the people that I met at Penn State, whether it was in my sorority or other sororities or just around, I became, super good friends with, and I still am. So I think that certainly being in a sorority was a lot of fun, and going to football games. There's nothing like a Penn State football game. I don't care. I've been to a lot of professional football games, and those are amazing, and a lot of other college games, but there's nothing like a Penn State tailgate and football game experience. It's really, truly a magical, epic experience. And my kids have seen it on TV, and they were like, "Mom, what was that like?" I'm like, "You have no idea of just how great it really was to go to games up there." So I'm very thankful for all of that. It was lots of fun. As you know, there's nothing like a Penn State tailgate.
Nothing like it. You're based in the Carolinas now. We're going to have to get you and the kids here for a game.
Yes, now that we're here. When we were living in California, it was a little bit tricky, but yes, definitely. I know it is a must do next year. They see it on TV, and they are, big Penn State fans. And so, yes, getting them to a game would be one of the highlights of my life. So thank you, Paul. That'd be great.
Absolutely. So Marnie, thinking back to your time at Penn State, right? A sorority sister with Tri Delta. I'm thinking it's the 50th anniversary of Thon this year. Talk about some of the special memories that you have from being involved with your sorority and your support of Thon.
Well, that's the other thing. I think that's truthfully, I grew up in a family that was very philanthropic with the Ronald McDonald House and so forth. But being involved with the, dance marathon and Thon was really the first time that I ever was part of something that I actually felt really engaged with. So yes, obviously my family's philanthropy was amazing and I helped them a lot, but this was something that I could really be part of. And it was such a great experience for me to be part of that. And that just watching people get so excited and raise money and do special things to really make a difference was such a really an opportunity that I'm so grateful for. And each year it seemed to get bigger and bigger, and everybody really enjoyed collaborating and fundraising and finding ways to be creative and to, go do Thon. And it was always such a big fun thing to talk about and to be part of. I loved it.
This is the People of Penn State podcast. I'm Paul Clifford. I'm joined by Marnie Schneider. She's the CEO and author of Gameday in the USA. Marnie, let's stick with that for a second, because your family's connection to the Ronald McDonald House. I know, everyone knows your grandfather for being the owner of the Philadelphia Eagles, right? But one of his big contributions was also founding the Ronald McDonald House. I know it's something you're passionate about, and there's so many parallels in mission between Thon and the Ronald McDonald House and the work that you all do to support families that are battling tough times. Talk a little bit about that connection and how that is really personal to you, given your involvement with the Ronald McDonald House.
Well, like I said, I really think that Thon was the first time that I was, as an independent adult, was able to go and do something that you could actually see the results making a difference. So I really encourage everybody at Penn State or anybody around just to really pay attention to what Thon really is. It's a truly incredible philanthropic endeavor that isn't just like, oh, let's wake up and, go sit in the, dance for 48 hours or go raise money or whatever. It's really a year-long process of raising money, raising awareness. And I would say that the Ronald McDonald House is something that I'm very connected to, because it's something that my grandfather started. He was involved with it. And again, I like doing things that are kind of boots on the ground, which certainly Thon is. Like, you go, you raise money, you see the results. Everybody's there celebrating and excited about the whole event. And that's kind of similar to the Ronald McDonald House in many ways, where you can meet the families, you get to connect with them. And I think that connecting with people. And that's something that I learned at Penn State too. I was a pretty sheltered child, Paul. My grandfather owned a football team, so I didn't have the opportunity to really be socially engaged or involved in a lot of things that were not kind of already selected for me, let's just say. Okay. Because my family was concerned and they were like, we don't want anything to happen to you. But once I got to Penn State, it was a safe environment and it was a warm environment. And I really had the opportunity to make friends and to meet people and just be social and to do all these great things. And again, being involved in something philanthropic like Thon was a huge, amazing thing that I'm so grateful to be part of.
So today we're going to talk about Gameday in the USA and this amazing series of books that you have put together. But first, let's talk about what inspired you to write these books. What's the story behind the story and how you became an author?
Well, the story really is that when I was growing up and my mother worked for my grandfather at the Philadelphia Eagles, there were a lot of late night long plane rides. So during those plane rides, we did not have iPhones or iPads or anything. My mother was a lawyer. She would hand me a legal pad and a pen and said, go write. And so I would go to the back of the plane and I would sit there and I would write stories. And I created a character, a young girl named Frederica. And I had these stories traveling around and seeing all these different cities that host professional football teams. And I was really lucky. I got to travel and see all these great places. So I had that, didn't really do anything with it for many, many, many years. I went to Penn State. I loved writing. I was a broadcast journalism major. I loved that. It was lots of fun for me. I graduated. I went to work for NFL Films. So I definitely continued doing the NFL stuff, but not necessarily. And I could use my journalism background as which I really believe was helpful. I worked for Steve Sable for a couple of years. And I think that, he was impressed by my skill set. And, but a couple of years ago, my mom said, let's take Football Freddie out of the closet and see if we can, get that published. And so we started working on Football Freddie and Fumble the Dog Gameday in Philadelphia and got the book published. And then that year, 2017, was a really special year in Philadelphia. And the Eagles just kept on winning and winning. And, I had my first book about Philadelphia. So that was great. And then we said, well, let's try doing another city. So we chose the Carolinas. And now I have 8 Gameday in the USA books. And so I'm really proud of that. And one thing I'm super proud of actually is that in Gameday in Pittsburgh, which is my 4th book, in each book, with the exception of Philadelphia, Freddie has a tour guide to show her around. So in Gameday in Pittsburgh, Freddie's tour guide is a young man named Hugh. Hugh is autistic, but Hugh's mother, Stacy, is my best friend from Penn State, and she was my sorority sister. And so it's really been amazing to be able to highlight Stacy's son, Hugh, as Freddie's tour guide in Gameday in Pittsburgh. They are from Pittsburgh. So that's something that I'm really proud of. And Stacy was an amazing roommate and an amazing friend. And so I'm thankful that I could be able to share her story about her son and his autism in Gameday.
Well, that's an amazing connection. We talk about the power of the Penn State network, and that's just a great example of how you've been able to integrate Penn Staters and people who've been so special to you into the work you're doing today. You did leave out an important part of the story, though, Marnie. As Eagles fans, we can't talk about 2017 without saying Super Bowl champion Philadelphia Eagles. And so
yeah,
I don't want us to ever forget, because that might be as good as it ever gets.
Well, I'm hopeful, Paul. Although yesterday actually was the 41st anniversary of the Eagles being in their first Super Bowl in New Orleans, where they lost to the Oakland Raiders. So it's always like a weird day for me, like when I think about 41 years ago, and could I really be that old? Apparently, yes, we are, but not in the Penn State we are, but I am at least.
No, I am too. I remember that day. I remember crying my eyes out after that.
Oh,
after that game. Me and Dick Vermeil, because Dick Vermeil is a notorious crier as well. So.
Oh, he's the best. Yeah, Coach Vermeil is the greatest he's the best of the best. I love Coach Vermeil.
Wonderful person.
And he's amazing, an amazing leader, and really does understand what it means to give back. And I think a lot of that happens, he was an incredible college coach. And I think college coaches, when they really understand what it means to give back, they're incredible leaders. And that's something that I think is so important. And they translate that to the entire student body. So I really believe that a lot of the things, the lessons that I learned at Penn State were really formed watching the football games or going to tailgates or being part of that student body.
So obviously you took a lot of lessons from Penn State, but I'm sure you've learned a lot along the way being the CEO of your own company, right? It's not just being the creative author, right? Then you gotta publish and sell these books. What are some of the things you've learned as a CEO?
It takes a really good team to get things done. That's really the most important. Being a CEO is really, obviously, a title is a title, but I think with anything, it's kind of like being the head coach. You need to have an incredible team around you of great people that are your advocates, that are your advisors, that will tell you the truth, that will say that's not good, you need to do it better, or how to improve everything. And I think that being a CEO is also learning to be fiscally responsible, learning how to say no, learning what to say yes to, and not spreading yourself so thin that you don't have the time to be able to do the things that really are part of your brand and adding value to what your whole brand is.
You know, a big part of your brand and a big part of the conversation we've had thus far has focused on the influence of your family. And with all due respect to your grandfather and everything he's been able to do, your mother was quite impressive. And you know, she was the first, right? She was the first woman who served as GM for an NFL franchise, breaking the glass ceiling or opening the door for many more women in the front office now. But talk a little bit about her influence on you. I know she was the one who said, let's get it out of the closet and maybe start writing again. But talk a little bit about what family has meant to you.
Well, my mom is my everything. Thank you, Paul, for indulging me in talking about my mom. You know, my mom started off as a teacher. So I think that was really the whole thing about me writing and spending time writing and reading. Those are the best coping skills. Like playing, reading, and writing are the best coping skills we can give kids. So my mother knew that I might be sad from losing or sad from whatever it was or tired, but like a great coping skill is to read or to write. So she would hand me a pad and say, start writing. And again, she was a teacher prior to becoming an entrepreneur and an attorney, and then running the Philadelphia Eagles, being the first and still to this day, the only female general manager, vice president, and legal counsel of a professional football team. So my mother is an incredible, incredible woman, my best cheerleader, my best friend. A few years ago, yes, like she told me, she said, I think, and you know, it's interesting. I don't know if she knew. My mother was diagnosed with dementia just about the same time she told me to start writing Football, Freddie. And I think that it was really her way of saying, okay, we did this. You did this in 1983 on an airplane. You started writing this book series. I think it's time for you to do it and to create your own legacy versus maybe just trying to celebrate my mother's legacy, which I'm always going to do. And I'm always going to want to celebrate my mother and my grandfather's legacy because they've accomplished so much. But I think that she really wanted me to break away from some of the things that maybe have my own independence and create my own name for myself. And she knew that she probably wasn't going to be able to be as involved as she would like to be, but she gave me an incredible start and I'm so thankful. And she still really enjoys seeing all the books that we've written. And she's my co-author on a bunch of them, even though her mental capacity because of the dementia is not quite as strong as it was, but she's still a bright, shining light and my best cheerleader.
You know, whether it's in the books or with your team at Gameday in the USA or whenever you do public speaking engagements, a big part of your message is about showing up. Can you talk a little bit about what you mean when you talk about that?
Well, for me, I think that it's about making sure that people know that you're there for them, the people that are in your life, that they're Fumble agrees that it's really about making the effort. No one is ever going to say like, oh man, that person's really a loser. They're always there for me. Like it's never going to be, you're never going to hear that. So I think showing up for people and doing the heavy lifting of being available and showing them that you're there really does resonate. And we don't really have a lot of times to do that. We think we do, but we really don't. So when people say, I get asked all the time, can you help me? And I will tell you this, Paul, the funny thing is that every time somebody asks me if I can help them, I end up getting helped. I don't know what it is. I don't know, but I'm always the one feeling like, wow, thank you. That was so great. Thank you. So I think that's really what, for me, has been a huge help, is just saying, I will do what I can. Now, obviously, we're all limited with certain things, but I think showing up for people and letting them know that they matter is just a huge way that you can compliment people and tell them that they're important to you.
I think it's that concept of the more you give, the more you get, right? You give without expectation of anything in return.
Yes.
And that's really when things are returned in abundance, right? It's
always.
We talk about relationships that you have, whether you're a mentor and a mentee relationship, right? I often talk to mentors who talk about how much they've gotten out of the relationship, right? That they didn't expect to get out of because they thought that they were on the mentoring side and ended up, learning and getting so much out of it. And so I think that's what you're hitting on here is if you give without expectation of anything in return, that's when things get returned in abundance.
Yeah. My mother would always say, like, you can't expect people to do what you would do, or you'll be living a life of constant disappointment. So do things that you want to. So just do it because you want to. Almost like, I think like I have amnesia sometimes, because it's like, I'll do things and then people will say, oh, you were so, I'm like, oh, I didn't even remember I did that. But thanks. That's great that I was so nice. Thank you. I don't even remember, but yes. And it does really bring a lot. And that goes back to that philanthropic mentality, which I think truly a lot of it was learned, 18, 19 years old, when our cerebral cortex is still kind of being formed, about finding ways to give back and being part of something that is greater than you. So being part of that Penn State football game or the dance marathon, that is something that really, you see the whole butterfly effect of that. And it's really beautiful.
So Marnie, unlimited opportunities with this niche that you have carved out in the children's book realm. Talk a little bit about what's next for you.
So I'm working on continuing the book series. So eventually, we're going to get to all 32 teams. It might take a little bit of time, but not really. And then the idea is to do the same thing with the other sports leagues, including colleges too. So we have intellectual property created for the other leagues. So it's Baseball Billy and Bunt the Dog, Game Day. Same idea. You travel around, you see all the different cities and learn a little bit about baseball, basketball Bobby and Buzzer, soccer Sammy and Score, because I really think, Paul, that sports is the universal language. And I'm so grateful that I had an opportunity to go to a lot of sporting events and learn about sports. And I think that when people can speak sports, it really does bring people together. So it's not just boys or girls or men or women or whatever, but I think that it's a great way to connect everybody together through sports. So I'm really excited about the big picture of Game Day, which is creating all these other characters and writing all these books and doing the same thing in colleges. Certainly Football Freddie and Fumble the Dog, Game Day in State College. That's
Game Day in Happy Valley. I can see it.
Yes. And all the great sites there. And there's so much to learn. And that's what's so fun, is like seeing all these great places and learning about all the different things that different places have to offer. And you don't even have to go far. And maybe, you don't have to. And the other thing is that in a lot of families, there might be a Philadelphia fan and a Dallas fan. So you can learn about those cities and share those experiences. And it's really, I was told, since you're from Philadelphia, you know this name, Angelo Cataldi.
Oh, Angelo.
Yeah. So Angelo,
the worst.
Yeah. He's a big fan of Game Day in the USA. And he said there are books for all ages. Yeah. And it's true, because you can look at the books, and that's what I really wanted to do, is to create something that everybody could connect with, that really does, I believe, we highlight all the great things about cities, and we have a lot of inclusion in our books, whether it's Hugh, who's autistic, or different. I just wanted it to be really like me, because I think that I am a nice person and I love people, and I don't make a lot of hopefully I don't judge people. I think that I enjoy just making friends, and whatever that means, that I'm thankful that I can make friends.
That's amazing. We are talking with Marnie Schneider. She's the CEO of Game Day in the USA, and you're listening to the People of Penn State podcast. Well, Marnie, at the end of each show, we like to have a little bit of fun with some quick hitter questions. And so I'm going to throw a couple at you and just give the first thing that pops in your mind.
Great.
First is your favorite all-time Philadelphia Eagle.
Okay, well, it's definitely okay. Well, I have so many. Ron Jaworski. I'm just going to go with Ron Jaworski. How can you go wrong with Jaws? He's a great person. He's incredibly philanthropic. A couple months ago, I got to do a great fun book event with him where he read Football Freddie to the kids, and I was sitting next to him being like, wait, this is really happening. It was so cool. Yeah. So Jaworski, of course.
That's amazing. That is a great answer. Mine would be Brian Dawkins, of course. Okay. Weapon X is my favorite of all time. Your favorite class at Penn State?
Well, let's see. I would like to say Russian history because we wrote a lot of my sorority sisters and we had a lot of funny stories about going to Russian history. I did not do that well in Russian history. Right. That was quite a heavy class, a little more than I bargained for. So I would say that probably one of my broadcast journalism classes, because it really made me realize that I could write and that I could be a writer and I could tell a story and it was technical, but still you could write things. And it really encouraged me to keep doing what I had started and what I loved to do, which was write.
So if you could have dinner with anyone, who would it be and why? And since you've traveled all over the country, where would it be?
All right. Well, let's see. Where would it be? I definitely love Philadelphia because I'm a Philly girl, even though I don't live there now. So I think now if I could have dinner with anybody, I mean, alive or not alive or any,
you pick.
I mean, truthfully, selfishly, I would probably say I wish my grandfather was still alive because I would love to show him what I've done. Although I think I do believe I get, little messages here and there. I would love to have dinner with my grandfather. I would love to have a cheesesteak at Pat Steaks or Primanti Brothers because I love Primanti Brothers too. But I'd probably like to go to Pat Steaks with my grandfather and show him the book series and be like, be proud of me. I'm thankful for all the lessons he taught me.
All right, you're Pat's, I'm Gino's. So a little across the street there. Bookbinders would be a great place, downtown Philly as well.
Always love Bookbinders, absolutely. Or the Saloon was another great place too. Yeah,
absolutely.
Yeah.
How about your most unusual "we are" moment? Is there a place where you either said "we are" or heard someone yell it out to you, where it kind of caught you off guard, running into another Penn Stater?
I think I hear that expression all the time, and in fact, I will tell you what, the Ronald McDonald House of Charlotte, they do this T-shirt every year, and they just unveiled it yesterday. And Paul, I'm going to have to send you a picture of it. It actually says, "We are Ronald McDonald House of Charlotte." And I saw it, and I was like, did I suggest that? I can't remember if I don't think I did. But it made me like, oh, wait a minute. This "we are" thing has gotten to be so huge that it's amazing. And it's beautiful because you hear the "we are" and everybody, oh, wait, we're the same. We're on the same. I get you. You get me. I got you. Yeah.
How about your favorite Penn State sport? I think I know the answer to this question.
Definitely football. I mean, seriously, the best. Yeah.
And your favorite flavor of creamery ice cream?
Well, it would have to be, I like anything chocolate, but of course the sticky bun, the grilled sticky bun ice cream. Always the best. I love
that. Is a popular choice. It is on sale this month at the creamery. And so,
it is?
Yeah, it is. It's one of their seasonal flavors. They don't carry it all year round, but 'tis the season for sticky ice cream. And so,
also happy, joy. And I just realized, actually, as I was looking at it, I might have been a little bit slow. Maybe that's in reference to Happy Valley.
Yeah. I don't know. I think it's a combination of Happy Valley and Almond Joy.
Yes, but the happy, that made me laugh. I was like, oh, wait a minute. When you see it, cute.
That's awesome. Marnie, if people are interested in learning more about your project or getting the books to read themselves, where would they go to find them?
Well, they can go to GameDayInTheUSA.com, and the books, you can buy them there. They're also available on Amazon and Barnes & Noble and the usual places that people go to buy books. But if they want to get in touch with me, they can go on Instagram or they can go on Facebook. They could go to Gameday in the USA. they can send me an email. I can do what I've done over the past year and a half, tons of classroom readings with kids. So we can send the books. The teachers will send an order form. You can order the books, and then I'll go on a Zoom and read to the kids. And that's been lots of fun. I think we're going to try to arrange something like that in the Happy Valley area with some of the elementary schools, which will be great and exciting. So I'm really accessible. They can call you, Paul, and you can connect them to me. How about that?
Absolutely. Absolutely. Any way we can. Marnie, thanks so much for joining us on the People of Penn State podcast and for catching up about Eagles and Gameday in the USA. I really appreciate your time.
Well, thank you. What a privilege. I really loved it. And thank you. I love being a Penn Stater. It really meant and means so much to me. And my friends, if you were to look at my phone, like if I show, I mean, like I can't, it doesn't really work, but because you can't really see it. But every day, every couple hours, one of my friends from Penn State, we are in touch via obviously a voice call or a text every day. And so that is such a great thing. What a great luxury that I've had by making great friends at Penn State. It's really, really amazing.
Absolutely. Thank you for joining us. And to our audience, thank you for joining us. If you like this episode, I hope you'll subscribe to the People of Penn State podcast in your favorite podcast app of choice. And while you're there, go ahead and give us a rating and drop us a review. Help us spread the word. Tell your friends about the People of Penn State podcast. Share it on social media. And as always, tag the Penn State Alumni Association with @PennStateAlums. If you're a member of the Alumni Association, thank you for your support. If you're not, what are you waiting for? Visit our website at alumni.psu.edu, and you too can become a member of the world's largest alumni association. Thank you for listening, and thank you for all you do for the university, for the glory, and for the future. We are...
May no act of ours bring shame to one heart that loves thy name. May our lives but swell thy fame, dear Penn State, dear